podcast featuring the channel Asia Women in Technology. 2023 winner and AI leader Priyanka Shah. With over 10 years in data AI strategy, she's a Microsoft AI MVP and pioneering in Azure OpenAI and enterprise solutions in Southeast Asia. Her work spans innovative AI applications across industry. Without further ado, let's get started.
Hello, folks. Thanks for joining in another podcast with I Am Metro Cloud. I'm your host, Adnan Rafiq from New Jersey, and I have another guest. And today's topic is about generative AI, Azure AI, OpenAI. A lot of going on about AI. And we, at the same time, have a lot of concern about it, data privacy, data security, ethical AI, and all that stuff. Today, I have another expert. She's the Microsoft Azure AI MVP. She's a subject matter expert. So today I have Priyanka Shah. She is from Southeast Asia, Singapore. She's been awarded as an Asian Woman in Technology for 2023, and she works for Evernote in that region. So I'm very curious to know and explore from her about the AI, and at the same time excited to be on my podcast. So welcome to the podcast, Priyanka.
Thank you, Adnan. Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
Yeah. So again, tell us a little bit about yourself. Why not just you tell us what is your winning of channel Asian Women in Technology? What was it for?
This is the Channel Asia has this sort of a forum for celebrating women in technology across various domains. So you have technology, you have entrepreneur, you have rising star, you have championing diversity and inclusion in organizations. So as a part of the tech category, I was first nominated for my work partnering with Microsoft for a very wonderful initiative called as Code Without Barriers. So Code Without Barriers is a program which sorts of aims at reskilling people, helping them to upskill in the field of AI and machine learning. So as you rightly said, right, there's a lot of buzz, lot of hype about AI. And then how do you get all this new talent on board the AI bandwagon? So Code Without Barriers is one such program targeted specially at women. Right, it could be young women who have taken a sort of pause in their career and then want to restart. So what is a good restarting point? You need to get upskilled in a technology which is upcoming, right? So Code Without Barriers was one such program which we partnered and which we actually, reached out to a lot of women across ASEAN countries. So it was Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Vietnam, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and probably around 70 to 80 women. I myself had given, one-on-one sessions for instructor-led sessions for AI 900 certification, AI 102 certification. So that was one part of Code Without Barriers. And then, of course, I am Microsoft AI MVP, probably in the ASEAN region, maybe the only women AI MVP, at least in Singapore, the only women AI MVP. And we had done a lot of work also for autism resource center, right? So which is basically trying to get the autistic people, which are borderline cases, right? So they are good but probably a bit very specific in taking instructions. So we have done a lot of that work for embedding those people into mainstream. So that was also one of the aspects. And this was actually celebrating all of these holistic things: technology, Code Without Barriers, AI ML initiatives, technology leadership, community leadership, as well as CSR, corporate social responsibility.
Wow. Now, this is very inspirational, very interesting that you did like 80, 90 women one-on-one session. This is, and what time, like a couple of years, a year, 2 year?
Yeah, so it was not one-on-one. It was like, a batch of women. So probably
Okay.
15 to 20 women in batches, but it was an
Wow.
instructor-led session. So probably, most of my day used to go there in those sessions starting 9 a.m. in the morning to 5 p.m. in the evening, sort of a thing. So yeah, maybe, I worked with Code Without Barriers for across 1.5 years to do that, and I still am partnering with them, right? Although I am now more of a mentor, trying to set up hackathons and trying to guide hackathon participants. But yeah, I'm
Right.
still in close
In,
partnership with Code Without Barriers.
yeah, interesting. I have some ideas which I will circle back, but that's pretty interesting. So I have one more question related to it before we jump into the actual business use of AI.
Sure.
So, like when you are doing the mentorship and conducting the session for the women in AI and all that stuff, so do you find, do they have interest? Do they like it? What's the high level perception when you go and teach them?
No, absolutely. Sometimes I have myself been so surprised by the quality of submissions which people have done, because typically, not only just the certification program, but also there are a lot of hackathons which we have set up to encourage people, especially women students and women professionals, to participate and submit their solution to us. We verify, and then accordingly we give them opportunity either at internship or at a job, right? So I have been amazed at the kind of creative thinking and design thinking which all these young, old, or any women out there, they are doing. A lot of empathy. So just very one notable incident. There was a knowledge mining solution to be developed. It was a hackathon question, a challenge, and so most of the solutions, did what they had to, searching, giving search results from documents. But few of the women were also like, hey, what if I'm a visually impaired person, or I'm a person with disabilities and I can't really type into the text box? So they had given this voice characteristic, also voice feature, that I can speak and search, or the result is returned to me in the form of a voice message rather than a text message. So this kind of, out of the box thinking, this kind of empathy, I have rarely seen in any other or run of the mill certification programs or hackathons, right? And definitely there's a lot of genuine interest from women participants. So there were women who were sometimes, in the late 50s, and they were also very curious that, hey, I have been a homemaker all my life, but I take this as an opportunity to start something new. Maybe just for the interest of it, I might not do something commercially with this, but I want to get into the know of things, right? What is this? What will this do to me? How it will affect my children? What should I watch out for my children, the next generation? So yeah, a lot of diverse perspectives, and in general, the energy was quite effervescent. Very enigmatic crowd there, and yeah, I mean, I had fun, right? So
Wow.
there was a lot of curiosity, a lot of questions, and the synergy was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting, and I can see your energy, and I can imagine that, and that's really sounds like something you're enjoying a lot. So now, looking at you've been looking at your profile, and you've been a Microsoft MVP, and I know MVP. You really get into the weeds of the products, and so we'll keep it high level for the audience. But again,
Sure.
how the conversation goes. I'm just curious to know: are there any use cases and business cases you want to talk about the use of Azure OpenAI? What was the business case? And give an example, the implementation and adoption of these tools and technologies for the businesses in today's world, how companies are using it and leveraging
Yeah,
this
yeah,
today.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. See, Gen AI, I mean, it's just an year and a half old right now, but then it was really a revolution. Okay. And I say it because we have had business cases prior to Gen AI with AI, and then cut to Gen AI, the kind of speed and the kind of exponential accuracy and growth we have seen is just, I think it's just the start, right? It's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we are at the start, we don't know where this will take us. And there are a lot of businesses who are trying to embed Gen AI into their mainstream business processes and challenges also. So I'll talk of 2 3 use cases which we can easily relate to, right? Which are, our daily enterprise challenges. So let's talk about financial sectors first, okay? And I'm directly jumping into the very, critical sector, because
All
finance
yours.
data is not something very easy to work with, and a lot of transaction, customer sensitivity, and customer confidential data. But in any case, so very simple use case, right? So you have these websites of banks, right? So all of these, your global, well-known banks. So you have their websites. and they have a lot of product information there. They could have their wealth management product and insurance product, credit card offerings, and a lot of other stuff there, routine information, annual reports, disclosures. Okay. But then still, you and me have often experienced this, right? So let's say I have a credit card of XYZ bank, and then I'm traveling overseas, and there's a transaction which was charged twice, or some transaction, which was a fraud transaction, and then we call the a call center, and then typically they are like, oh, this is a credit card related, fraud related inquiry, so they put you on hold, they transfer you to some other department. I have to repeat my story to the next department, and it's not a very good experience, right? And we have all experienced this. So now what banks are saying, right, before we actually go on to use cases like wealth advisory or robo advisory using Gen AI, let us look at the simple scenario. So I have all my information out there. Now, when a call comes in from a customer for these kind of things like, oh, my credit card expired and now you don't offer the same credit card anymore. So it was a great, I used to get a lot of points on fuel savings and stuff like that. So can you recommend some similar offering to me, some similar product to me? Or I used to have XYZ card of some bank, and now can you offer something to me on the same lines? These kind of inquiries, product recommendations, or how can I be a privileged customer, a privileged banking customer, those kind of things. So instead of routing all these calls to agents and then, putting you on hold, what if when the human calls, like when the user calls and the branch manager is listening to his queries, the conversation, of course, with your, permission of the user, is being transcribed live. Okay. And the Gen AI is listening to this conversation. The Gen AI is now understanding, oh, this is a product related question. So it will look up the documentation. It will directly fetch the answer, give to the branch manager, and the branch manager can, without putting you on hold, he will give you the answer. Also, another advantage of this is the Gen AI is able to listen and transcribe the entire conversation, and it can give out business insights. It can give out recommended action items. It can summarize the conversation. It can also give tips for how the agent himself did, right? Like, was he able to answer the question correctly? Was he polite? Did he answer all the right questions? Sometimes branch agents don't even know what kind of questions to ask. So if I'm coming with a complaint, what is the checklist, right? Oh, did you do this? Did you do this? Have you sent a mail? Do you have the transaction ID? Those kind of things. That also, the process flow also they don't know. So they might refer you to some department or put you on hold, look at the documentation. But what if Gen AI is able to look up all these standard processes, policies, and then every time, these kind of inquiries come, it comes with all the check boxes for the branch agent to follow. And then after some time, when it matures, you won't even need the branch agent to do these kind of routine things, right? Maybe he'll be required for specialist things like, oh, now actually onboarding a customer or generating an SOW for some banking client or a banking, enterprise customer. All these routine things about, I want to close my credit card, I want to, report this fraud and stuff, can be taken care by the Gen AI itself. And I think it's a very simple but very powerful use case, which is giving me as an end user a better experience, and also as a branch agent, my headache of looking up all of these diverse documents and all is offloaded. And this knowledge, mining, policy Q&A, and your enterprise documents Q&A is one of the heavily used, heaviest adoption use case we have seen. Everyone wants to do that, right? From defense, government, healthcare, because everyone has some or the other kind of public data available, procedure data, policy data. And, with the help of Gen AI, just get the right information at the right time to the right person. I think, so that is one of the use cases which we are seeing.
But at least in these 1 or 2 jobs are gone for sure, for the first line, I guess, for the repetitive task. That's what you have to accept. Like, those jobs are gone. But the user experience is going to be better. And that happens with the technology, right? There are no job security, even in IT and cloud. So people who do not learn cloud, they're learning the basics, they're going to lose the job. So that's the only thing the only thing constant in IT or tech is the change. You have to keep.
So
that's one of those things. So again, And I think I've seen a lot of these cases, like we've seen Meta and all that, like they have the Facebook shops and all that. So everything is, they have a chat bot and automatically pops up and automatically answer you some of this question. So
Yeah,
which is good.
correct,
But
correct.
going back to the point, like banking and all that, they are trying to become more productive and want to give a better user experience when they have this repetitive question from customers. Hey, how do I do this? So basically, do they all have a same model of machine teaching, because the machine is responding to your question, it has already been taught. So is across the banking system is one machine model, or every bank is teaching their own machine model? Do you happen to know?
Yeah, yeah. This is a good question, right? And I think, it's again a sort of debunking a myth for a lot of, Gen AI adopters out there. Okay. So, see, when we talk of chatting with your own data, right? What we are saying is interact with your own data. Essentially, what you are doing is you are using the Azure OpenAI, but then limiting it to answer questions or queries from your own enterprise data corpus. Okay. It does not it will not answer any overarching question about your competitor banks, or who was the scientist who discovered the quantum mechanics, for example. So it the Gen AI which you are producing, or which we are developing for a particular bank using Azure OpenAI or any other large language models, foundation models, will be restricted to the domain information and the knowledge which you are exposing it out. So we have certain patterns called as RAG, which is called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG fusion, right? So which enable you to sort of restrict your field of inquiry to the documents you expose to the Azure OpenAI, right? And then a lot of these banks do the same things. And then, as you rightly said, there could be certain scenarios in which I want to train my own model. Okay, so for example, one of the global banks, they want to train their own AI model, fine tune their own AI model on the risk and compliance domain alone, or credit risk
Okay.
analysis domain alone. So then they have their own, fine-tuned models, right?
Right.
Again, they
Right.
could start from scratch. They could use some of the
Right.
base models and then fine-tune them. So each bank has a lot of alternatives how to build these kind of different models. Either use RAG, either use their own fine-tuned models, either keep everything on-prem and use open source models and build their, a Gen AI platform. So a lot of options, but all of these options are very secure. They have a layer of AI governance on top of that, responsible AI framework on top of that, which
Right.
ensures that in no case your data is breached.
So let's talk about a little bit more on that. This is my most favorite topic. You mentioned responsible AI. You also touch base on risk and compliance.
Yeah.
So can you dig deeper? How do they achieve, and what's the use case for that?
Yeah. So so these are two different things, right? So when I talk
Okay.
of risk and compliance, or when I talk of data sovereignty, so one of the roadblocks which we, as SIs or consultants, we face in Southeast Asia is Azure doesn't have a data center yet in Southeast Asia. I think Japan is the closest one, but then in Singapore specifically, we don't have a local data center.
Got
So
it.
all of my Azure OpenAI deployments are done in regions outside of Singapore.
Okay.
So for health and public sectors and banks and government in Singapore, there is this concern of data residency and sovereignty. So my
Yes.
data, whichever it is, non-confidential or otherwise, also can't leave Singapore to go
Okay.
to a deployment of Azure OpenAI. Let's say it could be
In a different region.
Central US, for example, and
Yeah.
then use the API and give me back the result. So
Right.
that becomes an issue for us, right? So how do you then ring fence these things? How do you ensure that these data confidentiality, sovereignty, security, residency issues are mitigated? So Azure OpenAI
Right.
itself, right? If you see, they have a lot of inbuilt guardrails for ethical AI. So they do all these. I mean, so first of all, they have a lot of things which people have misconception that, are you storing my data? Are you storing my prompts? So
Right.
OpenAI is stateless. It doesn't store your prompt. It doesn't remember you. It doesn't remember your sessions, right? They have a feature of storing your prompt for 30 days only just to have content moderation. that also you can voluntarily turn off, right? So that AI content safety feature is there, right? Like I need to moderate what are you asking the bot? Are you training it on some harmful content? Those kind of things. But that also you can by permission, you can turn off the auditing and logging of your prompts. Okay. So all of these things are inbuilt into Azure OpenAI. Okay. And then on top of that, we have our own guardrails, right? So, for example, when it comes to sensitive data, we tell the banks that if there is any PII data, you are going to cleanse it, mask it, double encrypt it, and give it out to us. We
So
also do techniques of pseudonymization and a lot of other things. Yeah, go ahead.
So let's pause down. This is the stuff. Yeah. So you mentioned about masking and data de-identification and all that. So so these are capabilities you're saying available when you deploy your Azure. So whoever system is going to be more technical, but these are capabilities. The systems, whoever is going to manage that, they have the capability. So for let's say if I have to mask something, so you're saying those controls or guardrails are available, then they can enable it. And then data, I'm sure encryption comes by default, so they can have that also. So no clear text data on top of the data is being masked. All these things you're saying are available today.
Yes, are available not as a part of the frame, like not as a part of Azure OpenAI framework, but then there are a lot of libraries there, right, which you can use. So you have to enable it by yourself. You have to write
we are talking
Azure
about
functions
then,
or scripts.
You're talking about same shared responsibility model is
Yeah,
applicable
exactly.
here. Hey, this is what Microsoft is responsible by the customer. These you bring your data, then we give you the control, then you pick and choose. Like it's sensitive data, make sure you do this. If there's no sensitive data, you don't need to. So shared responsibility model within OpenAI we are talking about.
Absolutely. And for certain domains like, government or defense, where the data can't even go to cloud, whatever the data, it just your defense policy related data, but it can't go on cloud. So in those cases, we have done end-to-end on-prem implementation. So you have a lot of open source models, right? Open source models like Llama 2 and Mistral and Falcon. So we have also enabled this kind of totally on-prem disconnected generative AI. So it involves a lot of, GPU and optimizations and hardware optimization, hardware costs. So it's a decision which we have to make, right? Like, do you want an isolated solution where you will do all the hardware investment upfront and then scalability will be a challenge? Or do you want to have a scalable platform in which you can operate on a hybrid mode? So my non-confidential public queries will be taken care of, non-sensitive data and its queries will be taken care of by the cloud providers, and by totally sensitive and, confidential queries will be taken care of by my on-prem platform. And both of them together will work in a way that, it can answer any of my questions.
Nice. Okay, that's okay. Interesting. So same cloud hybrid option we have in Azure OpenAI. So businesses I can think of, if there's a Department of Defense, a Social Security Office, or maybe the New Jersey state where we have our personal identifiable information like home address, phone, my driving license details. So it's up to them whether they want to have it on-prem or in the cloud. But even what you're saying with the hybrid, the data can be in the on-premises data center, stay wherever it is. But when you make those API call and machine learning and everything can be done in the cloud and show on the graphical user interface on the screen. So nothing is stored in the cloud, only the AI and all this stuff is working and showing the results. Correct? In my understanding is right?
Yeah, true. Yes.
Interesting. And do we have also the same identity and access management control, RBAC and all those capabilities in OpenAI, where I can?
We do. Yes, we do. So if there's for people who are curious to know about that, you can just go to Microsoft Learn, and they have a huge write-up about responsible AI around Azure OpenAI. How each and every component is governed. How you can ring fence the access control. How you can give role-based access control. granular access control, right from your vector databases to your indexes to your indexing engines to your uh, document stores, all of that. So it's a fantastic write-up. I mean, if I start going into the nitty-gritties of that, I would probably take an hour or so. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this is documented very clearly in all of the Microsoft documentation platforms. And yeah, I mean, I would encourage people to just go and read about it.
And out of curiosity, not necessarily you may need to know the answer. Out of curiosity, what have you seen so far? How long does it take to teach a machine or AI model? Like, is it a couple of weeks or a couple of months we are talking about?
Interesting, right? So I'll give you a statistic, and it's a real statistic for a knowledge mining platform which we have implemented for one of our oil and gas customers in Southeast Asia. So before GenAI, we let's say for 300 documents, to process 300 documents, so they have a lot of these technology standards and engineering diagrams related documents. So if I have to extract meaningful information out of it, which we call it as named entities, right? So named entities like type of corrosions or type of equipments, different departments like drilling, mining, oil drills, and all of these things. Okay. So for these kind of things, because we need to annotate the documents and then have ML algorithms written to actually extract these entities out from those documents, and then have some domain experts come and do the analysis of whether it has extracted the triplets correctly, entities and relationships correctly, and then if not, run again and kind of stuff. So for 300 documents, it used to take us close to 3 to 4 months to get a good quality extraction. This was before GenAI with your classic, text analytics and natural language processing algorithms. Cut to GenAI now, because you can teach a machine directly with the few short prompts, right? Like imagine you are a program which is able to extract triplets out of text, and then, for example, given this text, these are the entities. This is the relationship between entities. This is the final result I want. You're just teaching it by examples, like how you would teach your toddler or your children or someone, your colleague. So you are instructing it, and then I just need to give it a few instructions. By the second or third iteration, it has perfected the technique, and then those same 300 documents we could process in 6 hours. So the kind of exponential gain which we have had, because right now when you're teaching a machine, you're teaching it by instructions. Okay, so what we call it as instruct model. You have chain of thought prompting and different kind of few shot prompting. So it's very easy for it to understand few scenarios. Again, when you're fine tuning models, yes, because you're fine tuning on top of base models, you still need to go through the rigorous process of, my training data is there, then I'm training on a specific use case, and then I'm getting the final model. Yeah, but then generic in prompt-based teaching is quite easy. But when you have to fine tune for something, probably a slightly longer duration.
No, this is interesting. No, I think, there's a lot to cover. As I said, this is like a never-ending topic, and if we talk, like, it's going to take hours and hours. But this was really informative. So before we move on to a little bit, 1 or 2 minutes, I want to spend career perspective. But give an example of a prompt, something you think you have seen it, like as you mentioned, they are predefined and you have to instruct, hey, act me like this. And then so is there something, your favorite prompt or something you have seen most common scenario?
So the best prompt which I see always is, where it is asking for document summarization. Okay, so because you have this huge documents which typically, your admin guys will be able to go through and summarize. Or the best prompt I have seen is what your Teams Copilot does. Summarize what I missed. Or if you are in the middle of a meeting and you are like, probably you got a call or something and you missed few things, immediately go to the Teams Copilot and type what are some of the action items on me, or summarize what I missed, what has been discussed till now. So very useful things to do.
So yeah, that's interesting. And what you just mentioned, my takeaway is that if Microsoft Copilots, it's all open AI underneath. Basically, that's the Azure Arc infrastructure. So Microsoft has gone beyond and done a good job to pre-teach and teach the model, like whether you're using Microsoft Outlook or Team.
True.
Yeah, right. So this is like yeah, another a different area people to explore. And your example is a perfect example. Like give me the action items, and then many more. Even when I use the Chat GPT 4 these days, I tell Chat GPT, hey, what if I write something, give me an explanation in the word of, we have a very social media marketing person, very famous in US called Gary V. I tell him how a Gary V would describe this, or
Uh,
how a Bill Gates would react to this or answer this,
Absolutely.
or
Absolutely.
give me a Steve Jobs version of this. So it does
True,
come up
true.
with because the machine has already taught their psychic, their style of thinking and everything is there. So that's another way. And I was like pretty shocked and just comparing the language it is spit out
Yeah,
terms
true.
of the text and everything. So yeah, let's spend a minute or two before we hang up. Somebody who wants to either transition or wanted to start their career, what would you recommend? Usually people get to me for the cybersecurity and all that stuff, not AI. But again, concept is same. People even have some bachelor, they have master, they don't have experience. I mean, what would you tell them to, in terms of learning, other than Microsoft Learn, project wise? What are those things they can do to really get into the market and have the good skills?
Yeah, see, one good thing with Gen AI is, that AI is democratized. So they have put a lot of power in the hands of everybody, not just developers. So earlier, when, we used to be data scientists or ML engineers, uh, some of the tools and frameworks and Python libraries and deep learning and neural networks and all used to be our specialized domains, right?
Yeah.
So now with the advent of this low code, no code platforms and especially, generative AI, it has democratized AI and put a lot of power in the hands of every other person. It could be a non-developer, it could be a salesperson, it could be an exec, right? So my suggestion is for people who are wanting to onboard this AI journey, AI bandwagon, just start from anywhere. You can. There's a lot of tools and frameworks. Start with the basics, right? See what is large language models, what's large foundation models, how you are interacting with them via prompts. What are different types of prompts? Then you can go a bit deeper into all of these libraries like LangChain and what goes beneath the behind the scenes. Then you can actually, and you have a lot of these playgrounds. So OpenAI gives you a playground. You have $18 worth of free credit or $20 worth of free credit to try out few things. Azure
Mm.
OpenAI, you can start up and you can have this low code no code experience. So there are a lot of these frameworks, lot of these cloud providers. Google does the same thing. You can just go there and have go at that playground and see how to have this low code no code experience. So just
Got it.
start. And again, you don't require any programming experience as such, because you are going to instruct in natural language. So your
Yeah.
English is your programming language. So just have this thirst of, upskilling, reading new things. And I think you can just get into the flow of things, right? Once you're into it, then you are curious, you want to do more, you want to know more, then you can go as technical as you want to. But then I think right now getting into Gen AI is not too difficult if you know the starting points. And the starting points are, as I said, all of these open source platforms, all of these great, cloud provider platforms that can give you that confidence. Copilot Studio, for example, that can give you this confidence to start small, start with a low code, no code experience, and then move on to, greater technical things.
No, all that good stuff. Really like this. So again, people, AI has both sides, good and bad. With this, all the things what we have learned: productivity, automation, low code, no code. I can already see. I can go on how life can be easier when it comes to system administration, security, and we've seen AI and security for so many years for threat monitoring and alert fatigue and all that. So AI is all behind the brain. But on the other side, we will see some concern like around the deep fake, the voice. We already seen those, the video scams. It depends. There's a good use and there's a misuse. So that's being said, Priyanka, I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time being on this podcast, and hopefully we'll see you again with more questions. But really appreciate it all the way from Australia.
Thank you so much, Adnan. Thank you. And it was a pleasure being on this platform. And sure, anytime you want to know more, I'm always there to share about all I know about AI.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's the reality. Your college degree took 4 years and $100,000. AI skills, 28 days and $20. Guess which one your boss cares about?
Stop using ChatGPT like it's Google. Get AI certified in 28 days and you won't recognize yourself.
So I'm over 42 and I just got AI certified in less than a month. One program changed everything. I didn't quit my job or spend thousands on courses. Instead, I joined the 28-day AI challenge.
What if I've never worked with AI before?
Perfect. This challenge is built for people over 40.
Yeah.
A simple learning routine that fits your life, not disrupts it. And the best part, you're AI certified at the end.
So when does the program start showing results?
In 1 week, you'll feel unstoppable.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, you'll have your strategy. In a month, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. Tap the screen to join us.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in another podcast with Cyber with Adnan. I'm here at IC2 New Jersey, the only cybersecurity conference here in New Jersey. So if you are here, I hope you are enjoying it, and I have an opportunity to meet one of the industry leader, very known Dr. Ardal. So welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you, Adnan.
Taking this time on this short podcast. And I wanted to take the opportunity first, starting by introducing yourself, and then we go on to the questions.
Dr. Ardal. Right now, I'm the president of Global CISO Forum. Besides that, I'm author, speaker in many conferences like this one.
Yep.
Trying to be part of the community, giving back to community. And as you said, I'm a CISO for decade as well in different companies. Right. I worked as CISO in a large global bank, to a mid-sized cybersecurity company.
Right.
Spent more than 25 years in IT and IT security.
Right.
So,
yeah, I know.
Thank you for the invitation.
And absolutely, person like we can spend hours and hours talk about, because this much information you have and the experience you have.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
I hope, but in this we will keep it very crisp. And something was bothering me. We always see cybersecurity training and learn this and all that, right? So I have not asked this question, or maybe where does this technical control really fail?
It's always, you learn when you start in IT, the OSI layers.
The OSI layers, yes.
7 layers,
Seven
right?
layers, yes, exactly.
No, there is 8 layers.
Human layer then.
And the 8th one is human.
Okay.
No matter what you do in the application layer or the data link,
yes.
or
physical layer. Or in
at
between.
the end, it is failing right on top.
Okay.
You might have the best controls.
Right.
I don't know, maybe some people read my article, which I published in my blog couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Coinbase, they had a great cybersecurity system, all the security tokens, up-to-date patch management system. Guess what? The contractors were bribed.
Yes.
Someone paid.
Yes.
And they were giving the information away.
Right.
So
what's the point?
it's not clicking, but it's still the human error.
Right.
Or when we look at Verizon data breach report,
Yes.
we still see that
Right.
phishing, if not the first, like 10 years ago,
Right.
it's still the second of causing cybersecurity incidents.
Right.
No matter what you do,
Right.
sometimes it's privileged access issue, sometimes it's identity management issue,
Right.
sometimes it is God knows what issue. Unfortunately, we still fail on the human side of security.
Right. So is there a solution to that? I know training, but I've seen people complaining, hey, we don't want to do this much training in for social cybersecurity awareness training companies, they do it. But is there a solution? It's never going to be a
Honestly,
solution.
the biggest issue, we think training as training. We should do customized training. If you train the CISO and your IT guy and your SOC manager and your HR, the same way that you train the business, then you're going to fail. Training has to be customized. With CEOs, you have to speak differently.
Specific.
With HR, you have to speak differently.
Right.
With IT, you have to speak differently. With security people,
Right,
you have
right.
to speak differently.
Right.
And training is still the issue. Training is still the solution, but giving the right training. And the biggest issue that I see in the industry is they use this mega word training.
Yes.
But unfortunately, they use it in the wrong way. And of course, there is done when we say training, everybody's talking about passwords, keep changing your password. Hey, NIST 2.0, password guidelines has changed.
Yeah.
Do simple MFA.
Right.
Do tokens, or try to utilize what is already given with your phone, like
Right,
Face ID
right,
or
Basic
Windows
stuff.
Hello or fingerprint in Mac. There is already some basic stuff that you can do. And I always say this: look, you can spend $1 million in cybersecurity
Right.
or $1 billion.
Or whatever. Yeah.
At the end, the basics is
Remain.
the most important stuff. It's not how much you spend, it's how much you really care. And as I said,
Right.
you might spend $1 billion. All what we can do is make hackers' job harder.
Right.
They're like water. It's
Yeah.
raining outside now.
Yes.
The water is always gonna find its way.
Yes.
And hackers,
Always.
threat actors are the same way. They are like water.
Yeah,
They will
yeah.
go in and find their way.
Right.
And all what we can do is minimize the effect,
Right. Absolutely.
in my opinion.
No, you nailed it, because for hacker, they just need one backdoor.
Exactly.
No matter how many people you have in your blue team, 10, 12, whatever. If there's a 1 weak point, and usually it happens to be the breach you just mentioned about Coinbase.
Coinbase, it's
human.
public. It's public.
Yeah, it's public. So this is interesting. Even no matter what they had, and I like the point you mentioned, training has to be customized. You just don't have a cookie cutter training for everyone.
I mean, look, I know you deliver great training yourself.
Right.
For me, even though I know I learned many stuff from you, but if you
Appreciate
train
that.
my wife the same way as
No
you
way.
train me,
It's not
even
going
though
to
she's
work.
in IT, she's gonna say, this guy is rocket science.
Exactly. No, exactly. I agree. Yeah. And
So
this is
training-
this is the biggest challenge in cybersecurity.
Training, yes, the word training is misled.
It's tailored. It's got to
Yes,
be customized.
it's like everything. Food. I'm
Right.
hungry. Let's eat. Hey,
Right.
maybe I have dietary restrictions. Maybe I got allergy. Maybe I got religious restrictions.
Right.
Maybe
Anything. Right.
So the word food is also misleading.
I
Finding
see.
the right food, the good food, is important.
And
Same
you
like
need to know
training.
your body, so you have to discover your
Exactly.
environment. So this is where I'm
Exactly.
going for the next question.
Please.
So you're a CISO, you get a new project or a new whichever situation. What do you do in first 30 days, basically?
Oh, I got a huge book about it.
Oh, you
So,
do? Okay, please share it. Yeah. I'll put the links in my comments.
Cybersecurity leadership demystified.
Okay.
The first 30 days, you have to learn the business. Look,
Okay.
all my life, I was in IT.
Right.
In 2018 or 19, I joined a bank,
Okay.
global bank.
Right.
I had no idea of banking. At Microsoft, when I was architect,
Okay.
I had many CISOs as my customer, Microsoft customer,
Right.
which I was advising. But being in the bank, you know what I did in the first 30 days? Try to understand the business.
How does the bank work?
How does the bank work? I'm not talking about TCP/IP. This
No.
is same, doesn't matter
Business
where you
thing.
go. Business.
Okay. Interesting.
Then, while you learn the business, learn the team.
Okay.
30 to 60 days. Learn who's doing what.
Okay.
Because at the end, let's assume you work in the wonderful company and everybody has, everybody understands everything. Even though then, you cannot do everything yourself. It's like a big ship, which someone has to be the captain. Someone has
Okay.
to paint the ship.
Right.
Someone has to sail. Someone has to look at the radar.
Right.
At the end, the captain is, we say still
Leader,
captain, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
exactly.
still the man in
One who's
charge, or
leading,
the,
yeah,
the
exactly.
lady in charge.
Right.
Same in cybersecurity. First 90 days
Right.
is what the business does, what the teams does, what cross-functional team does,
Right.
leadership.
Leadership.
That's really important. Look, I see again, you didn't ask me this, but let me ask myself
Yeah.
a question a lot. I see many companies, we see many
Yeah,
companies getting hacked.
Of course.
Then I look at the CISOs.
Right.
Most of the CISOs coming from non-IT background, which
Yeah.
is okay.
Right. Right.
Okay, But sometimes it's really important to look at the common ground.
Okay.
I'm coming from technical ground.
Right.
What we're trying to do, I'm trying to use my business acumen skills
Right.
to learn the business, and they have to
Then the
understand
technical side of it.
technical side
Exactly.
to be able to manage it in the right way.
Right. No, that's absolutely, it makes sense. And understanding the business, then that kind of skill set for someone then goes to the where and how do you prioritize your things, right? And so now we understand, it's a teamwork. You need to understand the people. It's not about technical thing, as you mentioned. So then what about, let me ask you, is there some basic checklist, something go-to action items you wanted to recommend people who are watching? Hey, at least start looking at this in your environment.
To
Or-
be a CISO or to be
no, I'm
cybersecurity?
talking. No, yeah. As a CISO, this I wanted to focus because this is where I wanted to make the most use of your knowledge. As a CISO, we talked about understanding the business. What else you can think of before we wrap it up? And
Once you understand the business,
right?
understand the technology.
Okay.
And look, I saw that a huge oil company,
Okay.
it's in Fortune company,
Okay.
they had WAF,
Okay.
tick box. They had firewall, tick box. Yeah, and the firewall
Wow.
was doing the job, but the WAF was just sitting there doing nothing. So
They're just doing a
they
check.
have, do you have an antivirus? Yes. Do you have this? Yes.
The checklist.
But but how effective is it?
Okay.
Tested, penetration testing. It could be a
So
solution. For example.
do the validation.
Validation, like zero trust, right?
Yeah, zero-
Never trust over verify. Do you have the product? Yes, but
What
are
the
you
product is
maximizing it?
Got it.
Like I always say this. How many pairs of shoes do you have?
I don't know, 10.
10 maximum,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I bet your wife or your daughter
They
or
would
your
have
mom
even
has more.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
if you want to be what was the champion? Hussein, the Olympic runner. I forgot his the Jamaican guy. If you want to
Okay.
be Olympic champion,
Okay.
is buying more shoes gonna make you more secure?
Absolutely not.
Or
Practice.
if you do some gym, I know
Right,
that.
right.
So
It comes
and
with consistency,
yeah.
practice,
cybersecurity is like going to gym.
marathon basically.
You cannot be more secure just watching. You have to know what you have. You have to see how it's being utilized. You have to
Nice,
know
yeah.
how it's been used, and then you have to fine tune it
Right.
and look for the gaps and make it better. Hopefully,
All right. So yeah, what you just said, validation.
Validation.
Nothing-
Exactly.
No excuse. Things
Exactly.
you have, don't do the checklist. Make sure and verify
Exactly.
things are working the way it's supposed to be working.
correct.
So again, thank you, doctor. I know we can spend the whole day on this.
With you, yes, I always enjoy chatting as well.
I appreciate that. And again, those who are watching, I'll share. He wrote many books. Even today,
You can
came
get the
across
free ebooks that
free book.
yeah,
I'll put
yeah,
in my
yeah, yeah.
comments.
It's
I'll put
Put it there.
Yeah, in my
you
YouTube
can-
comments.
and
And
it's,
also, same contact will go to social media. I'll put it there.
yeah, perfect.
Learning from the resource like this is really, it's not learning, it's like a transfer of knowledge. So again, thank you, doctor. We'll see you again.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Minute session, just go to all 8 certification, what you did, how did you do it, what did you exactly learn, what are more beneficial versus other ones. So definitely it's another good, interesting topic we want to touch base on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We could do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, definitely another podcast on that.
Right. So, we have a number of topics I outlined today, and I want to start with around something, every organization, whether it's a startup, whether it's an existing organization, they have their application infrastructure, whether on-premise or in the cloud, exposed to the internet. When you're exposed to the internet, gone were the days where manually somebody will scan your servers like 20 years ago. That's different. Now, everything is 24/7. Everything through scripts and AI and all those things are there. The chat, but the bots are there. Scripts has been written, tons and tons of things there. So as soon as you bring up your server, if you have open ports like 3389 or something along the line, within 5 minutes your machine would be down. That's for sure. So there is scans or all these things are happening. So this pretty much kind of actors are there looking out for some machine or infrastructure which has some weaknesses in the system, vulnerabilities in the system, which can then be exploited. Maybe they have motivational aspect of it or not, they can make the misuse. So how do we protect that? How do we deal with that? What is skills and all that? So based on these scenarios, okay, this is the actors and activators who are working on that. But what an organization can do, hey, I got to have a team similar to those hackers and attackers just to prepare myself for these kind of attacks, what we call proactively. So this is where the concept of red teaming comes in. Somebody you want to have an in-house build, and then I'll let also get some comments from Aaron. But that's the idea: an organization to defend themselves for such type of attacks. There are so many known attacks already there, appliances, products available. They have those predefined cases. You can have protection around that. But it's still one weak point, one vulnerability can cause the damage. So what do you have to say, Aaron, about that?
Yeah, so I want to start with, I think something that doesn't get talked about enough is network visibility and ensuring you have the proper logs and the proper feeds coming in to your, whether it be your SIEMs or your XDRs, getting all of that information aggregated and making sure all your endpoints, all your servers, everything that's exposed and internal, you're tracking it, right? Because if you're not tracking something, I mean, I can't tell you how many, organizations I've seen where they leave a development server, a dev server online, and they're not logging it, they're not tracking it, and eventually a bad guy is gonna, a threat actor is gonna find their way to that server, and if they have access to that server, one example is that recently happened is Microsoft, Midnight Blizzard. They got into Microsoft a development environment that Microsoft or a test environment that Microsoft left online. It had a very weak password because I'm assuming they were just testing stuff. So it was very weak password. They sprayed it. They got access. Once they got access to that server, they were able to create their own application that allowed them to pivot to a production environment. There's more, I'm going over the broad details, right? Like there's way more technical details, but they were able to pivot to the production environment and then gather the emails, gather source code, and all kinds of stuff through that through that test environment that, again, they probably didn't have eyes on. They're a massive organization, and you've let go, you've let them take their time to figure out how to pivot, which if you're on the red team, and I'm pretty sure I've heard somebody from Black Hills Information Security, very popular MSP and pen testing group out there. They said, if we get to your environment, if we get in, we will escalate to domain admin. It's just a matter of time, right? You give me, you give them enough time, they're gonna find their way. They'll find something. So, it's huge.
So it's all the visibility, and these are the fancy terms these days, observability, and so many things are coming. But going back to the basics, you need to decipher your environment. You need to know your environment. Hey, I have these VMs and OS and applications. So visibility is just not about you're watching and monitoring your Windows, Linux, and Unix server. As you just mentioned, if a developer is writing a code, how do you make sure that code is written secured enough that it's not exploiting or leaving any weaknesses for somebody to do the pen test, or somebody to do a scanning of the code and then penetrate in your network, and guess what, the databases do not have any password, or you have a flat network. So again, in a nutshell, or in an ideal environment, if you have to compare with the physical security, let's say if you go to the airport, or if you go to the Penn Station in New York City, there are surveillance camera everywhere. And the airport is one of the biggest good example. Surveillance is there. The same thing. The moment you bring any new device, application server, Windows file server, or a network, network switch and Wi-Fi, whichever it is, you got to make sure you have the full visibility. That's the basic fundamental things, whether it's a prod environment or even a non-prod environment. You gave a perfect example. If it's a non-prod environment, then how do you make sure that's completely isolated sandbox, and they should not have any connectivity no matter what. But again, if those environments are used from the same laptop, then guess what? The laptop get compromised, right? So you're looking at those. So again, it cannot be 100% secure, but you can have a defense, layers and layers of defense, and then make it hard for them. It's all about buying the time, basically, as
Right.
you just said. The more you can process those layers and have them delayed, that's the idea, right? So what are we talking about? Like you saw, talking about network visibility, intrusion detection.
Yeah.
So are you talking about IDS, IPS, logging infrastructure? Then you also mentioned SIEM. I mean, this is one of the very broad domain. If you spend 2 hours, I'm sure we are not going to be fishing it
Yeah.
today. But let's start from there. And what do you think? And also, you deal with this, you see those. Also share your side of your plate, and help audience understand how these things work on the blue side of the team.
Yeah, just I'll touch on real quick the network baselining and the architecture baselining, right? If if you're coming into an organization or a new job or even your home network, right? If you don't know what's normal in your network, and this is where visibility comes in to play very heavily, is if you don't know what's normal in your network, what activity should be going on, then you are blind to the malicious activity anyway. Even if you have all the alerts and everything popping up for you,
Mhm.
if you can't differentiate from false positive and normal to true positive,
Mhm.
you're left blind anyway. So
I see.
gathering that, taking the time to really learn your infrastructure, right? Like you said, should this test environment be communicating with this production environment? And if it shouldn't, as soon as that connection takes place, boom, red flag. I already know I need to investigate what's going on there. Or
So let's talk about a little bit, because this is a very good use case where I've seen often, um, you know, these things, something you will not see out of the box in any product. And this is where I wanted to emphasis on that. And this is where it can help somebody to chime in and brush up your skill. You have to learn your environment and create those custom alert. So as you just said, how would you know something should happen or should not? First, you need to understand what should be happening in your infrastructure. So start with knowing, okay, I have 50 Windows boxes, 10 Linux boxes, or 5 Unix machine, or 20 Mac box, whichever. So once you have the baseline, then you have to develop those scenarios and build your customized alert notification. And this is where those kind of skills will help you, whether you're a career starter or even if you are a new experience. I mentioned, if people coming from GRC, if you're coming from audit, or somebody in IT for 10 years wanted to start in this area of expertise. So these things and this critical thinking basically is going to help, because uh, knowing these things and coming up with that gonna help. And just wanted to add while I'm speaking is that even this is something where you go and chat on the chat bot, or what you call Microsoft OpenAI chat
the
GPT would not
the
help you. Yeah,
co-pilot.
Cobra, they would not help you. You have to come up with those. Hey, help me with this. How do I troubleshoot? It will not tell you, hey, go just create those. No, that's AI is there, but this is where the human intelligence will make more sense. So go, yeah. So that's, I
You,
just wanted to emphasize on that.
yeah, absolutely. You have to ask questions. You have to ask questions. You have to be, I mean, sometimes when, you have to be annoying about it, right? Like you have to ask over and over, hey, is this application legit? Is this supposed to be executing? Is somebody supposed to be executing sudo commands and copy commands? And what, is somebody supposed to be looking at the shadow file on this box? Is this you? You know, who else is supposed to have access and not supposed to have access to this box? And so you have to ask the questions. That's the only way you're going to be able to learn your network or your infrastructure. You have to ask questions. And that could be intimidating, right? It's like, so for me, I'm an introvert. I'm not particularly out there extroverted and want to talk to everybody, but you have to get out. You have to ask questions,
Mhm.
and that could again, human intelligence, right? It comes back like the AI cannot help you with everything. It's
Right.
really AI is just a tool to help you, you know,
Right.
be
Mhm.
better at a task. It's not going to answer all your questions. It can't.
Absolutely. Yeah. So based is something you want to add more to the baselining? Is there baseline configuration setting something you want to touch base on?
Yeah. So, back to we'll go back to the seam and your XDR or whatever tools you have in your environment. Um, Baselining, that's where it really becomes critical, right? Because I've seen environments where they have no rule set up. They just have the base. They install the seam. They get logs sent to the seam,
Hmm.
and it's, I mean, tens of thousands of alerts. I mean, it's all false positive or mostly false positive, alerts, and you need to figure out how to filter all of that down. I mean, ideally, you want, depending on how big your organization is, how much activity is going on, ideally you want to get it down to maybe a couple hundred. Ideally it would be less than 100 every couple of hours. If you can get your alerts, and then that way, if you're getting 50 alerts, 60, 70 alerts every, I don't know, 3-4 hours, it's something much more manageable for one or two people to look at,
Oh yes.
as opposed to, because if you have 10,000 alerts a day, right, and you have 2 security people, right, looking at those alerts,
Impossible.
it's
No.
you will miss something. They will miss something. And
Of
if they're
course.
only looking at critical, one of the big things, and it's a theme across all of my certifications and classes and stories that I hear, is the critical alerts come at the last, like, that's when they've executed something and it's already too late.
Too late.
The
Yeah.
low and the medium and those alerts are the ones that have the bits of information that is going to lead you to preventing the attack from happening.
Right.
One of the things I'll mention is, for example, WMI event consumers, right?
Yeah.
It's
Windows management instrumentation. Yep.
right. They're a very abused tool for threat actors to run malicious processes and execute and download their tools and install and run executables. Those will usually come in as something that's on the lower spectrum, right? It's going to be on a lower alert level, maybe a medium, a low. It
Hmm.
depends on the environment and how you have it set up. But creating a custom rule to trigger, hey, every time some executable runs from this WMI
Hmm.
uh, executable, you want to have it triggered as a high alert and
Right.
send. So those things could be crucial in determining whether or not your organization is breached or something truly bad happens, like a
Right.
ransomware attack or data exfiltration, or stopping it. And
Mhm.
so coming back to the seam and the network baselining, it all ties together, right? It's not just, you can't rely on these tools to do all the work for you, because a lot of these techniques, I mean, the threat actors out there aren't staying stagnant.
Yeah.
And if you look at the dark web and those threat into, if you read the articles and the news out there, or the cyber news, um, there's always stuff on the dark web. Hey, I got this tool, I can bypass CrowdStrike, Falcon, and all the big name
Yeah.
EDR platforms. I have a tool that, and it may or may not be true,
Hmm.
but they're always out there improving and getting better, right? And so you can't rely on just these tools to do your job for you. That's why
Yeah.
I think, again, back to your point of AI will not do the work for you. It just
Right.
won't. You need the human intelligence there, because the AI is only going to learn after the human has determine this is malicious or
Right.
this is some new kind of malware, and then they put it out there, and now the AI has learned from it, or
Right.
the AV software has learned, has updated the signatures, and now it has that signature in it.
Yeah. So just to summarize on a high level, one tagline I can put for the people: why should you not consider any SIEM just as is out of the box? You have to understand and then evaluate the scenario, and just do not focus only on the critical ones, because those low and medium will eventually become the critical ones, and by that time you will lose all the time. So now let's move on. I think you wanted to talk about something on forensics. I think is
Yeah.
one of the areas. Let's talk about it. What you have to say, and what you've been seeing it, and how would you deal with those?
Yeah, so forensics really comes into play in more of the incident response scenario. So after something has happened, and you've determined, or you're looking at suspicious processes, and this is a little more low level stuff here, so it's a little more technical. But yeah, learning the memory, right? How memory works, right?
Okay.
And the low level of the processes, right? Because if you open up Windows Task Manager,
Right.
right, you're going to see a bunch of processes,
Exactly.
and most people don't know what's going on in these processes, or how to how would you identify
Right.
if something's malicious or not. So if you have the ability from your scene to say, hey, this executable looks suspicious, right? Like, let me go to this endpoint. I can check it out, and see what's going on. And if you can pull up, using some tools like Volatility, it's a popular memory analysis tool, and gather a memory image and look at the process tree, look at the process list. And again, coming back to a baseline, right? You need to understand what's normal and what's not. Right now I'm analyzing a Stuxnet memory image from an infected host from Stuxnet, and looking at the memory image, just doing some basic process list like analysis, you can see it runs multiple LSAS executables, right? So if you're looking at that, and again, you learn the ins and outs of the Windows systems or your Linux systems, you'll know right away LSAS there should only be one LSAS process running, and it should be running from the services, and right away when the computer starts up. It should be booting with the rest of the startup processes under that services exe. And so looking at that, right, and you can see multiple LSAS executables, right? Okay, well, now you already have red flags popping up left and right, and then you go dig deeper. So on the forensics level, not only memory analysis, but more importantly, log analysis, right?
Log analysis.
Learning Windows event IDs.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So that can be crucial, and it could really be, if you know your environment and you have these, you learn the Windows event IDs, and you learn which ones should be flagging on, like which is the normal ones, and then start flagging on the abnormal, or the ones you think are important, right? Like if this host is getting RDP connections, right? Start flagging on the Windows event. I don't know the ID number off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I just want to add, on one of my videos, those who are still watching it, I have a separate video where I put all the Windows most common security event IDs. I'm not sure, I believe there are 19 or 24 of them, specifically coming from the incident response. So again, people, I'll try to put the link, otherwise search Windows ID, and in my YouTube, you'll find that video there. So thanks for bringing it up, Aaron.
Yeah, I'll share with you some resources. SANS, if you see right behind me, there's a SANS Hunt Evil poster, and there's also another one called SANS Windows Forensic Analysis poster, and those are all free. You could get them on SANS website.
I just want to add, these posters pretty very, very valuable. That I've seen few of them for even for the information security and all those. That's very well, I said, architected and presented. Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's very well documented. They give you explanations of everything, why you know what's important about it, what's to look for. So I'll share those links with you at the end, and yeah, you could.
sure.
They're free posters. You could download them as PDFs.
Right.
A lot of great information on there. Um, yeah, and so yeah, back to the Windows event IDs is just uh, again, learn comes back to baselining, right? All of this ties back to just baselining your environment
Exactly.
and being able to find out what's normal and then flagging everything that's abnormal. And the abnormal stuff may be, you know, stuff that has to happen once in a while, but at least you have eyes on it. Um, so yeah, coming, but yeah, that's what I have to say
Yeah.
on that.
No, that absolutely makes sense. I can go into the weeds of like logging, SIEM, and all that. Even I did migrated a couple of SOC back like 4 years ago, and there were no visibility on the network infrastructure, Cisco router switches, and all that. And also there was some legacy authentication was used in SQL boxes 2005, and we got an alert at 2 in the morning. And guess what? 4 days later, we figured out, okay, it was legacy auth by design. So this was a great example of false positive.
Right.
So again, it's always like knowing your environment is very important. Sometimes, as you mentioned, was false positive and false fatigue can also cause, and this is where your knowledge matters, experience matter. And again, is this just something you can learn on the job, or working with some experienced people, I would say. Yeah, so that's something you will not learn in typical training. This is what I'm trying to explain here. So you mentioned something around honeypots and canaries, and can you talk a little bit about those? And I think, and I have not seen so many people talking about it. So something you want to shed some light on that?
Yeah. So the cyber deception.
Okay.
It's so I think it's very underused, underutilized in the field, and I could see why, you know, some people may have you know, may be reserved about exposing something on their network to the internet and letting it get attacked for, you know, for intelligence purposes or but you know, I could talk a little bit about first my honeypot that I have set up. I have one set up on AWS. It's completely free. It doesn't, you know, if you sign up for the account, you know, you get a year free at a certain tier. You don't need you know, you don't need high amounts of memory. You don't need crazy amounts of storage. You know, the one I run, I think, is 2 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs of storage. And the
Okay.
logs clear out every week or so. So you get about a week's worth of logs of attacks. Um, and it's run through the DShield honeypot. It's a script that you would just run on your AWS instance, right? You run that script, and I could send you that link as well.
Is
It's
it a
run through.
Windows instance or Linux?
It's a Linux instance,
Okay.
Linux, Ubuntu, and it's through the creators of it are the guys from SANS Internet Storm Center. So
Okay.
yeah, you create an account there, and you would basically feed this information as well to
Oh,
the Internet
nice.
Storm Center. So you're
Nice.
contributing to the community as well,
Community, yeah.
and
Yeah, we're
it's
collecting those all what you call intel about the
mhm,
new attacks, and this is like
yeah.
community driven project. Oh, that's a nice idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And then what you can do, you know, what you do is you check them out every now, you know, every other day or so. And you'll see, like you said, you'll see a lot of automated attacks. You'll see a lot of the same uh boring stuff, right? After a week of looking at it, you'll be like, oh, I know what this is. I know what this is.
Yeah.
I know. But there's so much value in learning about even those boring, constant, you know, same attacks every day.
Yeah.
You can pull so much information, and then the next time you're looking at an interesting attack, you know, something that's abnormal that you don't see a lot, you can pull so much value out of that and analyzing the next attack. And there's so much you know, open source, you know, tools and websites to use to analyze. I mean, you could any of these attacks. You know, I've done about 8 or 9 of attack observations by now. So, you know, just analyzing one attack. And you go down such a deep rabbit hole on
Right.
just a basic attack. Everything from, you know, the attack and what it's trying to exploit. I mean, you'll see a lot of attacks are still exploiting, vulnerabilities from 2017, 2019,
Yeah.
even 2011. Like I've seen CVE's 2011 on there, and in these exploits, and you just you never know what's out there. I've gotten Citrix, that recent Citrix vulnerability, the Citrix bleed. So you could see people scanning for those servers and those networks, and then again using all these open source tools, you can see what the community is saying about it, right?
Right.
I mean, if you go look at the comments and even on VirusTotal,
Mhm.
or any of those websites,
Right.
you'll see people commenting, hey, this is scanning for, this Citrix bleed vulnerability. This is scanning for, this is brute forcing SSH.
Right.
And there's a lot of value there. And you can determine, if you put that on, let's say, your enterprise network, sure, you'll get a lot of the script kiddies, but you
Right.
may end up finding something that, again, is abnormal, right? And something more targeted. And then you see what they're trying to exploit, right? And
Right.
if they're trying to exploit something that maybe you use that software or
Mhm.
hardware, well, now and
Right.
now you're a step ahead of them.
Yeah, and also
Uh,
I was thinking, if you mentioned people are reluctant not to put it, so they can create a sandbox environment and mimic some of their databases instances, and at least is better than nothing. And another good point is that, which I want to emphasize more on that, even you get bored after looking at those scenarios and attack after a day, 2 days, a week, and week after. But if you see those in the real environment, you will catch them right there. Hey, I've seen it. Hey, I've seen it. You will, your brain will develop that if that pattern is happening in the environment. And these kind of skills will really help you grow your career, or help you, and impress, or at the work. Like, this is something, because it's all about experience. So in that case, you don't need to wait for 2 years. You can, what you just suggested, within 2 weeks, people can have a really good experience and bring a lot on the table.
Yeah, and a lot of people breaking into the field, I always recommend them go create a website, go create a honeypot, and then go start analyzing attacks and learning, right? Just
Yeah,
learning on the fly. You don't need that. That's the great thing about the field, is you don't need to go have professional experience to get experience. You can
exactly.
get all this stuff at mostly free, if not a minimal cost. I
Yeah,
mean, and you don't need to be in college. Sure, certification will help, but you don't need to have a degree.
yeah,
I don't have my bachelor's degree yet,
yeah.
but
You have the
if you
skill.
don't,
When you have the skill, certification, that's itself is a proven success story, that you don't have to go to a 4 years, then you have all these SEN certification. Or I talk also a lot about cloud security certifications, of course. And you're doing your or if somebody wants to do the bachelor's on the side, they can do on the parallel. But things have changed. People are looking, companies are looking for people for the skills. Hey, you should be able to deliver those. One thing I also wanted to add, you mentioned how to set it up in the cloud, but I've seen folks I've worked before, some of the smart people, they do this is what they do every day. They have two Verizon or two internet at lines at their home, one for the regular home use, and they have a complete separate dedicated internet line just to play around
yep,
with the VM. They set up their own network, bring machines. It's not impacting the home network, but they have designed the labs like this, and they play around with that. So what I'm saying is that people, when they say, hi, how do we get the experience? Man, it's right there. You just
hmm
need to go play around with that. It's like Legos, break and fix, break and fix. Simple
right,
as that. And you
yeah,
need that analytical and critical thinking.
yeah, and that's it's crucial to it's also, it demonstrates your knowledge, right? Um, and then as you get the professional experience and the real, even the at home experience, and you do tangible things, and you can demonstrate those things that you've learned, then you go get the degrees and the extra certifications, and now you're skyrocketing, right?
Yeah.
You're on an exponential curve of growth, because now
Yeah.
you've got the foundations, and you just keep going from there.
Right. So So we have few more topics. Let's see if we can cover it.
Sure.
A couple of more topics. So now we know the importance of red teaming and blue teaming. And in other podcast, I had a world, not the world, I think Finland's one of the top security trainer, and it's there in my video that he said, for every one red team job, there are 6 blue team jobs, and which people they know it, they analyze. We have logging related job, we have forensics job, we have SIEM engineer, we have analyst, we have security engineer job, like 5 on top of the head without me
Right.
thinking it. I just call it out. So those are the job roles, and this is also important. And we can go on like talk about some not the network and infrastructure. There are application related attacks you just mentioned in the beginning about somebody writing a code and all that scape on that level. So is there anything else, a couple of points you want to touch on, Aaron?
Yeah. So from, a blue team perspective, like you said, there's one red teamer for 6 blue teamers. I mean, we have to do much more than the red teamer, right? Because the red teamer, he just needs to get into one thing
Yes,
once,
exactly.
that's it.
Yep.
And he has all the time, okay, in a professional setting, he doesn't have all the time in the world. He has a week or 2 maybe.
Yeah.
But he has the time to break in and figure out things, and we
Just
have to be right.
yeah.
And coming back to learning, on the blue team side, you need to learn, and understand their attacks. So coming back, honeypots, understanding how those attacks are being implemented. But there's also, I just want to share some free tools
Sure.
and virtual machines out there that are that you can use to play around with, and they're easy to get set up. So OWASP Juice Shop. So
Okay.
for anybody who's not familiar with OWASP, they run the OWASP Top 25
10.
and
Or top
so,
25. I was gonna say top 10. Okay.
or Top 10. Sorry,
Yeah.
I think there's a SANS Top 25. That's why
Okay.
I got that mixed up. So
That's fine.
OWASP Top 10, and those are the 10 most exploited web
Yeah.
app exploits going on for the year. I think they do. And so OWASP Juice Shop is a virtual machine, and it's a web application, and you set that up on on one virtual machine, and then you get your Kali Linux virtual machine on the other one, and you just start hacking away.
Mhm.
And they have walkthroughs. It's basically a capture the flag, right? Can you do a SQL injection? Can you do a
Okay.
cross-site scripting attack? Can you do cross-site request forgery on this, and get the flag? And they'll give you little achievements and stuff. So that's a fun and easy one to do. There's another one that's a little more advanced, using Metasploitable. So so Metasploitable is a lot of fun as well. Same thing. You set that up on a virtual machine, and you get your Kali box on the other one, and you start hacking away. And though that machine, I like that machine specifically because you can you can increase the security level. So there's low,
Okay.
medium, and high. So you start out
Okay.
at the low, you start learning the basics, and you increase it to medium, and then you try your low exploit is not going to work on the medium one. So now you got
Right.
to up it. And that's really how you learn. That's how you learn how complex these attacks are,
Right.
and how complex they can get, and how they're
En esta familia, todos somos diferentes.
Dale a cada personaje espacio para brillar. El Lexus TX de 3 filas.
Being conducted, and how people are fuzzing, which is using different, just kind of in a brute forcing way of
Right.
learning how to attack a system to get something to work.
Right.
So those are super valuable tools for blue teamers and red teamers alike. So blue teamer, you got a tougher job, and
Yep. You have to think
it's
like a hacker.
yeah, you have to think like a hacker and like a defender.
Yep.
So you got a tough job, and blue teamers don't get enough credit. I'm
Yeah.
a blue teamer through and through, and we don't get enough credit for everybody wants to be a pen tester.
Yeah.
Those
No,
guys are
that's people like the cybersecurity people think it's just the person behind the keyboard with the hoodie and all that. That's just the one job. And blue teamer, they're also purple teaming, which goes to the engineering architecture, which we'll cover sometime later. I've done a lot in the purple teaming as well. And what we have just talked about is, again, there are many jobs, and again, the particular thing, when you have this kind of activities happening, this is where companies should need to consider logging. We talk about specifically security identities. It can be for across the windows from the endpoint. So you should be making sure you're collecting the logs from your infrastructure, and then build your custom alerting, know what is normal in your environment, what's not normal, and then you rely and put all the data feed into the SIEM, which it will do the machine learning. Machine teaching is there, but AI capabilities vary from vendor to vendor. So again, alert fatigue should be reduced by 90% as a best practices, which I have seen a number of products. You don't want to have 10,000 alerts. You want to make sure it's reduced to manageable alerts, and knowing your environment. You may have a legitimate alerts, as I mentioned, like legacy auth on along those lines. Maybe a new product out of the box may raise an alert. Hey, legacy auth is old technology and start. But guess what? If your business need that old databases or old infrastructure, because it's bringing millions of dollars to your companies, right? So you got to make sure then you have a different defense layer and alerting. So those are things which will help you as you go on the job. So I do have more than 3 hours of lecture on Azure SIEM on my YouTube channel, which talks about SIEM Sentinel has, like, I think more than 150 or 200 out of the box built-in anomaly detection there. Go leverage that. There are also some what you call logics there. This is one of the platform which I was exploring, but that's not the only product. There are many products available. I'm not biased. There are products like Sumo Logic and Splunk, I don't know, Logarithm, IBM QRadar. So I'm not biased. Go explore yourself, learn, understand what feature and capabilities they have. And you just need to learn one product. I think you mentioned some open source, I believe. And then
Yeah.
before we wrap up the call.
Yeah. So Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana, they're log aggregators, and they will analyze the data. You have to learn them. You have to tweak them and learn them and set them up. And it's a painful process, especially in the beginning when you're learning it. But again, learning it, going through the trouble and the heartache of suffering through the setting it up and getting it to work. So I have an elk stack that feeds into my honeypot that my honeypot feeds into. And so it aggregates all the data in there, and it visualizes it all nice for you. And again, it's another way to learn your tools and learn how to make things, work for you and what you want to see and the data you want to, that's important to you. Right. So again, it's a little bit of a painful process in the beginning, but once you do it once,
no pain, no gain.
Yeah, exactly. Once you do it once, though, you're flying, because you can now go to another, whether it's your organization or setting up something else, your some other kind of network. You just you just keep going with it, and now you know how to do it once. You can do it twice, 3 times.
Yep. Perfect. No, I thank you. I mean, I think I was send me those resources I could put in the description of the video. I'm really happy that you shared specific tools so people can go and try them themselves. That's really one of those that can help to gain experience with hands-on, be able to help them with their interview call. And going forward, let me know in the comments, because this is another area. This is what we talk about, red teaming and all that. When it comes to overall security leadership, this is where a GRC component or assurance component. So it's not compliance, but making sure organization has all those tools and capability. It is another important from the leadership perspective, from CISO leadership, and also the CTO or CIO, because at the end of the day, it's enterprise risk management. And this is how, not directly, indirectly, very well connected, that how would you address those risks? So if you connect the dots, and in the future I will bring more content around that, how these operational things contribute to lower the risk for your enterprise by having the right technology, right tool set, with the right people, which is the most important, knowledgeable people to work with that. So that's being said, again, Aaron, I really appreciate your time. and hopefully we'll have some more content like this in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you. Let me know any comments, folks, and I'll try to cover it in my future podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have you ever wondered that you wanted to work for DoD or Department of Defense? And what are those requirements? What are the certification? Like, I always curious, wanted to know about it. And that's one of the topic I wanted to bring it on my podcast. And I came across one of the gentlemen, Jonathan Sargent, which I will have him introduce himself. And he is going to share some of the exciting news, what has changed. So without further wait, let's, John, first introduce yourself and we get more deeper into the certification.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name's John Sargent. I've spent about 26 years in IT and cybersecurity, working for both Fortune 100 organizations as well as some DoD and other government agencies, helping with security, compliance, mitigating risk. An MBA from Georgetown University and a master's from information technology from the University of Maryland, and a bunch of security certifications, which we'll talk about probably as we're going through. Changes.
So yeah, let's talk about, and good, you're from Georgetown, so I'm also Georgetown alumni. Good to know that.
Awesome.
I did my master's from there. So let's talk about those who are first time watching this or not familiar. What is DoD basically?
So that's the Department of Defense. So that's all military organizations in the United States.
All right. And for those jobs for DoD, what is the criteria for somebody to get into those, other than like public and commercial space we see versus military?
So yeah, this is not for active duty military folks. This is for civilians who are working for military, because that's a very different, different avenue.
Nice.
But there are there has been for several years a framework around requirements for particular roles related to cyber in the DoD. And the standard in the past was DoD 8570, which established specific certification requirements when someone was working in cybersecurity within Department of Defense. And they had, there was the Security Plus, CISSP, or CEH. Depending on your job role, particular certifications were required. What was missing there was the experience requirements and performance requirements. So while someone may have the certification, I think what was missing, and what the DoD recognized was missing, was that the exam didn't necessarily prepare you to handle the sophisticated nation state attacks, zero-day exploits, the role that you're being asked to fill. So they revised that standard. So then this 8140 standard has been released. It's built on the DoD Cyber Workforce Framework, and the intention is to expand the career pathways where you could move with certain certifications. It opens up new career tracks. It defines new work roles: cyber defense, cyber intelligence, cyber operations. It still has a certification as part of the requirements for these roles, but there's also demonstrated capability as a requirement. So they're trying to incorporate experience as well as certifications to ensure people are maintaining their capabilities and they have the appropriate expertise for the role that they're filling.
So what was the old certification number and what's the new? I think you mentioned.
Okay. Yeah. So the previous was 8570. And then the new standard is 8140.
8140. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is ineffective now. And so you've been talking about the new certification requires you to have practical knowledge, the hands-on experience, just not knowing the theory, right? So
Yeah.
can you shed some light what used to be in 850 and then discuss, okay, when it comes to 8140, this is what you expected to learn and show?
Sure. So the certifications are essentially similar that were required for a job category, but they have specific what they're calling KSAs, which are knowledge, skills, and abilities aligned with that role. So that you need to, understand the role from a knowledge perspective. So knowledge of TCP/IP, right? Knowledge of other networking protocols, right? And then skills. Showing that you're able to complete the skills related. So you can configure a firewall. You can utilize the SIM, whatever the role is. And then there's the abilities, which is to take those skills and knowledge and apply them to the real world situation. So the ability to use to analyze packet data, packet capture data, and the role as in this case where we're talking about we need someone into cyber operations role. So it's not an entire replacement. It's actually gives some more flexibility, but the intention is to take the focus away from just basic certifications and focus on skills, real world capabilities, have some more flexible work roles with different knowledge, skills, and experience that are required for that particular role. And it allows for some more broader and specialized tracks. And it really does focus on hands-on capability and continuous evolution.
So in 8140, is this set of does it have only one certification or is there a set of certification?
Oh no, the certifications are still based on the job role. And actually, if you were to go to the DoD 8140 site, there is a qualifications matrix which shows for different roles what qualifications are required. Right. It's pretty extensive. So, right. But there is a breakdown by role, and what happens if you're hired for a role, you have the capability, but you don't have the certification. There's a path to start in the role, get that foundational qualification in the first, I think it's 6 to 9 months, and then complete your qualification to be fully qualified for a role in the first, depending on the role, I think it's like 12 to 18 months of capability to complete all the things you need to take on a new role.
Right. So yeah, they have quite a different role, as you mentioned, like cyber defense or cloud security leadership, right? So one has to choose where they think they fit the most and then set and take those certifications basically.
Right. So there's there's some kind of foundational qualifications. So that'll be knowledge, skills, and abilities, and then there's also some continuous professional development required. So, and a lot of the certifications have that attached to them, but it's not just a part of the certification. It's now attached as part of the qualification for the job role.
Right. And then anybody can apply for these jobs, right? Any civilian as well?
There may be specific qualifications, like I think you asked earlier about security clearance.
Right.
That would vary based on where they were working and what kind of systems they were working, whether they require a clearance of any kind, or more all the way up through top secret, whatever the requirement. That's really focused on the individual role, not the category of role.
Okay, what do they really need to know when it comes to the basics?
So again, it would depend on the role that you were looking for. But the DoD has put forward a training course that's on their website, which is public.cyber.mil, and you can launch that course and you can walk through what the DoD 8140 consists of, how it works, how you find out what requirements based on the job role that you're looking for. So if you're interested in cloud security or you're interested in cyber operations, those qualifications may be different. what experience is required and what certifications are required on that. But it will walk you through very detailed. I certainly don't have it memorized. I think there's 57 different tracks and a whole bunch of different job roles within that matrix. So I definitely don't know what the qualifications are for all of them, but it is very well documented.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they have different even level of categories like a basic, intermediate, and advanced.
Sure.
And cloud security is interesting.
Mhm.
Because I know other than this, we see cloud security has been one of those sought after skills. So now on these different job roles, when it comes to the experience, so let's say somebody already in the industry for 5 years or something, what is the,
Sure.
like, can we talk about some of the experience required?
Capability and the experience are related to the level of role,
Right.
but they're trying to align more closely to some of the private sector cybersecurity workforce frameworks, so that it's easier for folks to transition from corporate roles to DoD or other government agency cybersecurity roles. So there is a clear path for transitioning from public sector to military or vice versa.
Mhm.
But again, specific certifications, it again depends on the role, but they're looking for stuff like, if you're looking at cyber defense, if you've done capture the flag exercises, or you've been part of a red team exercise, those types of things. What was your previous job role, and does it apply to the current? And there are certainly still entry level roles which don't have such a high requirement, but again, it makes it easier for people to align their experience and certifications with particular job roles within the DoD. I think it's a good change for cyber professionals and for the DoD to make sure that people are in roles that they have the right capabilities for, and that there's a clear path for advancement. Right? What do I need to do to move into a more senior role? Should I be interested in that? It's very clearly laid out for folks.
Right. So lately, what is something interesting you can think of? Okay, yeah, or has changed, or anything you would like to share based on your experience in various different industries, both in defense and the public sector?
Yeah, I think across the world there's a huge increased competition for talent. There's a huge need for cyber talent in commercial sectors, right? Financial services, tech companies, but also in government. The skills in cloud security, threat hunting, incident response. Those are in high demand, continue to be in high demand, and I think the demand is going to continue to increase as nation state attacks continue to be part of the norm of day to day.
What do you see as a threat, as a help, when you hear something about AI?
Sure, I think AI, like any other tool, needs to be implemented thoughtfully. The fact that it's available, that nefarious actors are going to leverage AI to make their attacks more effective, more flexible. I think we have to look at how we use them again to make our defensive personnel more effective, more flexible. There's certainly a capability with new AI tools to filter through data much more quickly, to detect patterns that might have been difficult to detect individually. There's a heavy need for individuals to take that data that they're receiving from AI and make it actionable. But we certainly need to leverage every tool that we can to make sure that we're keeping up with the attacks that are coming, and AI is just one of those things that we need to leverage for strength.
So initially we started conversation around the DoD certification, what has changed, but again, been in the industry for so long. Let's talk about a little bit on the risk, right? Cyber risk is one of the things we cannot ignore.
Sure.
So we see those all kind of risk, all kind of threats are there, but how one can make sure, and prioritize.
So certainly, there are certainly risks. Whether you're publishing on the internet or you're hiding behind a perimeter, that there is risk in everything. The risk varies, and they need to make a decision based on the value of what you're doing and its associated risk, and how can we mitigate that in the way that's most effective, right? We want to minimize the data breach risk. We want to potentially minimize the operational disruption risk. Something that we don't talk about enough, I don't think, is minimizing insider threat risk. That seems to be of high concern to a lot of CISOs and heads of security. Cloud and cloud infrastructure represents a risk. It doesn't necessarily represent a large risk. It's a very different attack surface. It's very public, but it certainly can be implemented in a way that's just as secure as any on-premise solution. But it does need to be, implemented with care and thoughtfully to make sure that risk aligns with what you're putting forth.
Yeah, for the cloud, I've been very vocal about it because it's not behind your perimeter anymore, right? Either in the cloud or hybrid, you gotta start with the identities, and we've seen how much does it cost if the credential breach happens. That could be millions and millions, and we've seen breaches one after every other breach in the last 4 or 5 years. Millions and millions of record has been stolen. Take examples for, I think one I can think of is T-Mobile. So while we're talking about these things, right, where cyber risk we talk about, and then it leads with somebody's personal identity theft or personal identifiable information, right? So are there any guidelines, regulations you can talk about, or somebody just can go and start looking into those and apply those because solutions are there?
There's certainly privacy frameworks, and they're changing, right? It was GDPR in the EU came out, some time ago, and now California's got their CCPA, and New York has their framework, and I expect other states will begin to do something similar, or hopefully we come to a consensus of a framework that everyone can use rather than having a different one in each state. That becomes very, very cumbersome for companies to comply if they're operating across states. It also opens up the opportunity for someone to not comply with one or the other because it was difficult, or whatever the reason is. If they're not avoiding or mitigating that risk, even though it's required, it may be a requirement. They may be accepting that it could happen, and the fine that comes with it becomes an acceptable loss. So I think those privacy frameworks certainly exist. I think there's too many of them, and they all cover similar components. And so if we could come to less frameworks that were more comprehensive, and kind of agree that these standards are essentially equal, and you can comply with one or all of them, and make it easier for companies to make sure that they're compliant. And compliance certainly doesn't eliminate the risk, but it does ensure that you have the minimum or compliant or a compliant program, and doing the essential work.
Yeah, there's a famous saying, or I have brought this topic before regarding compliance. So it's a vice versa. If you have right security controls, you are compliant already. But if you're compliant, you're not secure enough, basically.
That's sure.
Right. One more thing I'm looking at is in your role, on a leadership role, how challenging it is, because you come from that security mindset, and when you have to work with engineering team and architecture team and help them, advise them, right? Do you see a challenge, and how big of a challenge? Because sometimes, they say, hey, yeah, let us do what we want to do it, right? They just bypass all the security stuff.
Sure. Yeah, and that's a thing that needs to happen, a cultural change that needs to happen within your organization, so that security is everyone's responsibility. It's not just a security issue, right? Security risk is a business problem, right? And so we need to kind of bring everyone together, doing things like shared cyber town halls with lines of business, so they understand what security is bringing forward, what those risks are, what that means from a reputational perspective, so that that we move forward as a unified, secure organization. It's better in the end. It's better for everyone. So working in partnership with development teams, with the lines of business within your organization, so that security is taken into account as the requirements are being developed. That limits rework, accelerates implementation in a way that keeps things secure from the beginning, and in the end is less expensive than trying to bolt on security requirements at the end of a development cycle.
So, is there anything you'd like to share or something?
We're trying to make smaller organizations more aware of cybersecurity risks. That's one of the things that I'm doing now. I'm kind of taking a step back from the Fortune 100, and I'm trying to take the same capabilities and qualifications and bring it to mid-market companies. A lot of those smaller companies don't have the luxury of having large security teams, and so they might be making decisions without all the information. And so we're trying to educate, trying to bring those capabilities down, and let smaller organizations leverage those same experience and
Right.
capabilities without the high cost.
Yeah, and this is where I can see the beauty of cloud with cloud service provider, like whether it's Azure, AWS, or GCP, the tooling
Yes.
they have in the cloud. So I often say you get the business class service at the cost of economy class. Because imagine
Absolutely.
these large enterprises, they have all the money in the budget, but for a mid-sized small company, they don't have this much money to spend on it, right? But if they're in the cloud, they're up and running, so they don't have to worry about hardware, compute, and anything. It's just available as a service, and start
Yes.
using it.
Yes, certainly eliminates the requirement for large capital investments up front, and makes it much easier to tie the cost of a service to the consumption of a service, so that you're not making large investments before there's a return. So
Right.
yeah, the cloud is definitely can be a game changer for small business, for startups, and that where they're trying to leverage all the best tools, but not paying large license fees for stuff they're not using yet.
Thank you again for your time and your insights you shared with us on this podcast.
Yeah, no, thank you, Adnan.
And again, those who are watching, if you have any feedback, please do let me know. I'll put all the links for DoD certification, which we have talked about it, on the comment. If you're interested in any future topic, let me know. Feel free to connect with us on social media like LinkedIn. All right, thank you, everyone.
Things are moving fast at Legoland New York this year. Like, really fast. Better buckle up. Hold up, was that a Ferrari? Explore a life-size Lego Ferrari. Then build and race your own at the brand new Ferrari Build and Race this spring break. Only at Legoland New York Resort.
All right, guys, I'm here at the RSA conference with Ontario. So on the other side of the border, technically,
Yes,
not physically.
everyone's nice here.
Yeah, so I don't want to make it political, but the tariff discussion, we are doing it.
Not at all.
Yeah, so we are talking about Canadian startups.
Yes.
And we have Elliot from Lorica. And
Correct.
the reason it's interesting is he just talked about some of the privacy in AI.
Yes.
And that's the reason I just stopped right here and on the fly doing it. And I want to know more about Elliot. What does he do? And tell us more about your company, and then we go to the following questions.
Thank you so much. Great to be here. Great to be meeting with you. That's the whole point of coming to RSA, to meet folks like yourselves. So Lorica Cybersecurity is an 8-year-old company. We're from Toronto, Canada, and we're focused on privacy preserving AI and analytics.
Okay.
So large organizations, they have big pools of sensitive data. They want to use that data to generate an insight, whatever that insight is. And the problem that they're facing is the data can get exposed, the model can get exposed or attacked or breached. And of course, the environments that they want to compute in, especially in the cloud, are not always secure.
Right.
So they need solutions that enable them to be flexible, but basically run workloads in a private and confidential manner. And we've developed privacy enhancing technologies that allow them to do that. Now, we don't work with just, it's not for every single application.
Okay.
Okay, it's for specific types of applications, ones that aren't in real time, because right now there is a penalty that has to be paid in order to enable such privacy enhancing computation.
Okay.
But it's not a big penalty.
Okay.
And from our perspective, if you need to ensure that the data
Right.
or the model or the insight is absolutely protected
Right.
today and into a quantum future,
Right.
you need a technology solution like ours to do that.
So what do you guys do different? Because if somebody go and pull up NIST RMF, this is
Yep.
very high level.
Yep.
You have to do the whole 9 years to write the control, configuration, and all that.
Yes.
So I think you're addressing
Yes.
that. And how do you do that? This is what I'm interested in.
So we are working primarily with a technology called homomorphic encryption. This is an
Okay, I heard
advanced,
about it.
It's an advanced form of cryptography that's encryption for data in use.
I
So
see.
currently we're encrypting data at rest.
Yes.
And we're encrypting data in transit. But when you actually use the data, when you're processing the data,
It's in memory.
when it's in memory,
I see.
it has to be decrypted. It's in plain text. It's a real attack surface.
Okay.
And so this form of advanced cryptography is actually encrypting the data while it's being used, but being able to generate an insight from that data while it's encrypted. That's the magic
So,
of this form of cryptography.
so I want to make a pause here. So help
Yes,
the audience understand.
yes,
Because data in motion you're talking about, data in the memory you're talking about. So for an AI and this kind of model needs to work, it has to be encrypted, unencrypted.
correct.
And this is where these things can happen. Somebody
Correct.
can stiff in.
Correct. So
And-
right now, a lot of organizations say your data is end-to-end encrypted.
Yes, yes. Which is not.
But the problem is when your data is actually being used, when you access a file, when you are searching a database, when you're running data, any kind of stream data or any database through a machine learning model,
Okay.
right now that data must be decrypted. It's in plain text. It's a real vulnerability.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So with our technology, data can still be breached. Someone can be on your network and take your data. But if it's encrypted using this technology, it literally cannot be decrypted. It cannot be unlocked.
Okay.
And not only can it not be unlocked right now, the form of cryptography that we're using is quantum safe, quantum resistant. It's based on lattice mathematics.
Okay.
So even in the event of a quantum future,
Yes, that's the thing.
the data can still not be unlocked.
I
So you're
see.
future-proofing your models, you're future-proofing your data. Most importantly, you're future-proofing the insights that you're generating from those models and data you're running through them.
So let's talk about common scenarios, right?
Yes. Yes.
Where a company might want to use Llama model,
Sure.
open source. Let's talk about it.
Sure.
And there could be some. So in that case, how your technology is going to be applicable?
Okay, so here's where I have to pivot a little bit.
Okay.
The technology that we've been focused on for the past 6, 7, 8 years is primarily for machine learning models,
Okay.
smaller models. So you're a bank, you're a telco,
Right.
you've developed a decision tree model
Okay.
or whatever it is.
Right.
Okay, we can encrypt that model, run encrypted data against it. Then everyone asked us starting last year, so I want to do Gen AI, I want to take advantage of Llama.
Right.
Can you encrypt this model? Unfortunately, we can't.
You can.
No one can. No one has figured out how to use that form of technology to encrypt a large language model.
Okay.
So what we've done and what we're starting to do is use something called confidential computing.
Okay.
So a trusted execution engine running an entire open source AI workflow.
Okay.
Completely in this hardware, this trusted execution engine.
Okay.
Right now we're working with Azure Confidential Computing, but you can imagine AWS Nitro or any other confidential computing platform.
Right.
And our Lorica AI solution is now enabling organizations to exactly that. I want to play around with Llama.
All right.
But I cannot run sensitive data through there for various different reasons.
Right.
I don't want to breach my data. I don't want Llama learning about my. I don't
Yeah,
want
that's
it
another
training.
point.
I don't want my data training their model.
Right.
So this allows you to essentially create an environment where everything is completely locked down, but it's locked down using hardware, not homomorphic encryption yet. We're going to start combining.
I see.
But we're not there yet.
Okay.
But that's our for what
Vision.
you've just said.
Right.
We're right now using a different tool in the privacy enhancing technology toolbox. That's how
I
we
see.
think about it.
Okay. Okay. So that's the. So I think we covered pretty much what business problem is, problem you're addressing, and what makes you different.
Privacy is
right.
a big issue.
Right.
Like people come to us and, well, is it GDPR?
Yes.
Is it like? It doesn't matter, frankly, what regulatory regime you're trying to uphold.
Right.
Just imagine what would happen if sensitive data for your customer, your partner, even your employees, if that information gets breached and it gets exposed, that's a big problem.
It's a huge, and we're gonna see a lot of them.
And it's only gonna get more and more.
And I give an example. I see it the way S3 bucket used to be with anonymous user back in 2016.
Yep.
Same thing. I mean, you give everything to the model and train, but how much of a control do you have?
Correct.
Even if your own deployment, but your model is being, and how do you make sure? Because even
how do you know that the model's not been tampered with?
Exactly. And then encryption is as good as, but if your identity access management is broken, then guess what? So there are complex
many
scenarios.
different vulnerability points.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Some of those are human errors. Some of those are technical problems.
Right.
This is a very challenging
Right.
space. And our technology is not for every organization. It's not for everybody.
Right.
It's for specific use cases.
Okay.
It's for specific applications. And most importantly, it's for certain types of organizations that
Big on
themselves
privacy.
require additional layers of privacy.
Right.
We provide those additional layers of privacy.
So, okay. So basically you guys are targeting those organizations. They're very highly regulated.
Yes. So it's banks,
Right.
national security
Right.
agencies, telcos, health organizations,
Right.
critical infrastructure.
Perfect.
That's our sweet spot.
Nice, nice. Gen AI is one of the hottest topics, as we all know. We'll see you in our next podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well done.
Yep. What is application security? Why it's different? What is cybersecurity? What is cloud security? What are skills you need? And if you're building your team, what kind of a skill set? And what does application security engineer?
Shesha. So my full name is Sheshanand Dikandula. So it's a long name, so you can call me Shesha.
Good to have someone from the product side of it. Don't follow the same path for the last.
Yeah, application security is like mostly like if you see any organization, so if they want to build any business, like whether it's a banking or e-commerce or anything, so obviously they have to reach out to the like they have to reach the customer. It comes to the application, whether it's a web application,
you made a
mobile
good
application.
point.
Yeah,
I like that point. So
Yeah.
basically, your databases are behind the firewall. But your application
Application,
is
directly,
basically your application is basically your landing page.
landing page. It's
And
front face of entire your organization. So
Right.
one vulnerability or like one critical issue is
Right.
enough to like
to expose that, right?
Yeah.
The vulnerabilities are always there when it comes to securing the application, right? So what can be done at the base level or the basic level?
we can protect the application. So suppose, this is very deep inside the application that hackers may not look into that. So
Okay.
that's not the case, because if your application is vulnerable and if it
Right.
is deep somewhere in the corner also, if someone find it out, that's it. So if your application has SQL injection, suppose like or else any voice command injections.
Pen test is enough, or SAST scanning is enough, or like, tell us, let's talk about more. So, how do can improve the security of the application?
Yeah, it's not like usually like security, what we have to look into in a way like not at the compliance or like we don't want to do it like yearly once pen test just for the sake of doing for some
Yeah.
getting some compliance certificates,
Right,
whether
okay.
it's team, whether it's a security engineer or a pen tester, whoever, get the feedback from them, how you are implementing it,
Right.
how you are implementing into your entire ecosystem. So keep on changing. If you see like there are a lot of SaaS products are coming up,
Yeah.
so you have to integrate, because if you are not integrating,
Third-party product
yeah,
integration.
third-party products are coming.
And subnetting, network, and all that, or they can just learn identity and access management for this multiple cloud environment, learn the key management,
Yeah.
secrets, and all that. So here is one more new episode of I Am Mentor Cloud, and I will need a feedback from you. And this time I have a guest here, and I'll tell you more about it. As you already saw the subject, we're going to talk about application security. But before we do that, it's one of his own kind of new podcast. Because I happen to have him here in my area. But again, if you're in New Jersey, more than happy to do more. So today we're going to talk about an iMentor application security. But my name is Adnan. I'm based out of Jersey. I'm in the field of tech for so many years, and especially AI and cloud security is my niche. That's what I do, and work on large, many security programs. Work for the Fortune 30 companies. Have done very large projects. And the idea from this podcast to bring you of the real world, so it can help you grow in your career, whether it's certification, whether it's experience, you're new. And not only that, to the companies who can, or the professionals who are working on that. But this is all educational purpose. This is not a consulting and everything. You have to hire some companies. But what I have learned over the course of the years, work in different environments, the whole point is with the educational purpose we're going to show and share here. So again, today's topic is application security, and we will cover as much as we can do in the next 20 minutes or so, and give an idea what is application security, why it's different, what is cybersecurity, what is cloud security, what skills you need, and if you're building your team, what kind of a skill set, and what does the application security engineer does, the guy I have. So as I said, Adnan here, and I'll have introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi everyone. This is Shesha. So my full name is Sheshanand Reddy Kandula. So it's a long name, so you can call me Shesha.
Or
So
Shri, or maybe Shri.
yeah,
Shrishan or Shri?
Shesha.
Shresha.
Yeah, Shesha. Yeah, SHA or Shesha.
Shah. So we'll call it Shah.
Yeah, that should be fine. Or else Shesha, whatever. So yeah, currently I'm working in Adobe as like senior security engineer. I'm with Adobe like almost 3+ years, like almost 3.5.
Right.
So before that, I was with MasterCard almost like 5 years. There
Nice.
also mostly I'm doing into the, I was working in application security only. So, but the team is like vulnerability management. So where we manage the vulnerabilities in the MasterCard. But current, at least the role slightly changes. But here in Adobe, mostly I work closely with the product related stuff like
Right.
product security.
I see.
So yeah, total I have like around 15 years of experience in
Nice.
cybersecurity. But
Perfect.
if you see like cybersecurity is a very big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get a chance to work in different areas. Mostly I worked in application security and little
Product
bit
side of it.
Yeah, products, a little bit into the network security.
All right. So yeah, and that's really good to have someone from the product side of it, because my experience is not from product side of it, right? But I've been into engineering and architecture and everything.
Mhm.
And it's good to know somebody on the product side from Adobe, and we will want to find out more from the audience, right? So let's start with this specific point. Why application security is not a typical cybersecurity? Because what happens with the cybersecurity, if I go and talk, or people come to social media, they are so much caught up just with the old traditional school of scanning, do this, blah, blah. Dude, you don't need this in 2025. You're in cloud.
Cloud.
And I always tell them there's a lot of opportunity.
Yes.
Don't follow the same path for the last 20 years.
Yes, whatever.
Whether it's your
people do.
career,
Yeah.
or whether you're strengthening the environment of your company, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need a different mindset.
Mindset, yes.
So this is where I want you to talk about it, because
Mhm.
you're being the expert.
Mhm.
Tell us what is application security and how and why it's different.
Yeah, application security is like mostly like if you see any organization, so if they want to build any business, like whether it's a banking or e-commerce or anything, so
Right.
obviously they have to reach out to the like they have to reach the customers,
Right.
whoever it is, like
Right.
whether it's like regular people or like whether it's, if you see like in the banking area,
Right.
so they have to reach out to their customers. Obviously they need a system or like they need application to connect with their customers. So that's kind of like application. So but how it's mainly different from the other cyber security field is like it's like kind of a system or like a machine which directly interact with the end users, because if you see in organizations, they may have like mainframes, they have databases, they have a lot, like a lot. But at the end of the day, if you want to take your business to the user, the end user, so the application is going to be the front face of your organization. So you have to be pretty careful, like when you are dealing with what kind of applications you are hosting on the internet, how the users are connecting. Like obviously, if you see like any for any end user, like if you say like any e-commerce like application or any banking application, obviously like 99.9% of users will be like good users, like the legitimate users. But we have to be very careful with the rest 0.001 or like 0.1%.
We need just one
guy, one guy who is that exactly accessing. Because if you see like in another cyber security, like where it's a forensics or like into the database, so that's not directly exposed to the internet. But when it comes to the application, whether it's a web application,
you made a
mobile
good
application,
point. I like that point. So basically, your databases are behind the firewall. But your application is
directly,
basically your application is basically your landing page.
It's front face of entire your organization. So one vulnerability or like one critical issue is enough to like
to expose that, right? So vulnerabilities are always there.
Yeah.
And especially these applications are externally facing on the internet. They're so somebody's always scanning the application through bots or whatever. So how do you make sure, right?
That's important. Because if you see like maybe if you see like decade or like two decades back, like at least like 10-15 years ago, so the entire internet is different. Nowadays, if you ask any LLM or like ChatGPT, they will tell you like how you can start writing exploit, or like how you can, if you see something, if you ask the ChatGPT, it will tell you like what are the next steps you have to do it to exploit any application. But obviously, so that's the way how the internet is changing, that's the way how the technology is moving. So obviously we have to be pretty much careful to protect our application. So
now you mentioned a good point about these all LLMs and generative AI is available. So somebody really don't have to be an expert. So when it comes to securing the application, right? So what can be done at the base level or the basic level?
The basic level is like we have to like, since like as I mentioned, right? So obviously like everything, whatever we are keeping in the internet. So obviously like we have to be pretty much careful. So the basic thing, what we need to do is like we have to be that 1% or like 0.1% mindset, like how we can protect the application. So suppose, this is very deep inside the application that hackers may not look into that. So that's not the case, because if your application is vulnerable and if it is deep somewhere in the corner also, if someone find it out, that's it. So if your application has SQL injection, suppose like or else any voice command injections or like any kind of injection attacks, so obviously they can dump entire your DB. So it's 1 point is enough, no need to be entire application. So whenever you are hosting an app, whether it's a like simple app, maybe that may not be your mission critical applications, but if you are hosting the normal what you call feedback collection application, like suppose if you are collecting some feedback from your clients, but if that application is hosting along with the other application, so if it is there in that internet, like obviously they can reach out, like they can step into your network, which the firewalls and may not protect for that. So once they step into your internet, like intranet, so obviously they can traverse further and they can make motion.
So what you're saying, a landing page of application may be connected with some other multiple applications behind the scene. So again, a company has to hire the expert just not to look at the application, but the overall end-to-end data flow. How this application is traversing and connecting to the backend databases, file storage or database itself. So they should have to have a guardrail on multiple steps or defense in depth. It's not like just web application typically runs on web server, which is Apache or that machine, but here it goes beyond. So that's application security. So we are looking at application security more of like, are we saying pen test is enough or SAST scanning is enough, or DEST, or like, tell us, let's talk about more. So, how do can improve the security of the application?
Yeah, it's not like usually like security, what we have to look into in a way, like not at the compliance, or like we don't want to do it like yearly once pen test just for the sake of doing for some getting some compliance certificates, like whether it's PCI or HIPAA or whatever, ISO 27001 or whatever. So we have to think in a way like we have to like set a standards or like kind of a processes, like whenever you are doing any kind of a change into your firewall rules or like maybe into the application deployment, we have to be pretty much careful, like thinking in a way like how this can affect our application, like whether it's maybe a small change. So we have to be do kind of a complete thorough testing. Maybe like suppose we have to do kind of like shift lefting, like usually like what people will call like
from every step you need to take the security.
It's not like where it has to be like entire SDLC, like if you see like an SDLC, software development life cycle. So we should not, obviously, because
in the beginning,
we have to shift it to the
like that you just said, from the beginning of the
SDLC.
security in the beginning of
Suppose you are adding kind of a new feature, like any kind of a feature, like suppose if you are doing any kind of changes into your OTP. So earlier you were doing mobile SMSs, but obviously there are some constraints with the doing the SMS. You are doing kind of a Microsoft Authenticator or like Google Authenticator instead of just using SMS for the OTP. And you are trying to change kind of it's kind of a big change. So we have to be involved, like get started involving with the security team, whether it's a security engineer or a pen tester, whoever, get the feedback from them, how you are implementing it, how you are implementing into your entire ecosystem. Is it doing correctly or not? Get the suggestions, try to implement much ahead in the design phases itself, instead of doing at the end. Because suppose you have implemented everything Microsoft like MFA, like multi-factor authentication, but at the end they found out like, no, this is not the way. So you have to go back and do it, rebuild it again.
You spend money, time, and everything.
So I gave just like small example, but not only like maybe any example.
There's people are, just as we say, we're talking about people have to work with the experts, but this is videos or vlog kind of thing is all about understanding why application security is different, because you're not dealing about network firewall and everything. But again, those concepts exist because segmentation has to be there for databases, for applications, how
like
your
production data, or like stage, or like your pre-production environment, there should be like proper segregations should be there. And mostly like people will think like, okay, just run the scan. If the scan gives something, we'll find it. No, it should not be like that. Scans will help it, whether it's a SAST or DAST, but it should be like manual intervention.
Now you give me a very good idea. A scan, let's say, give you no vulnerabilities. But what if you use a weak password of 4 characters?
Obviously, like that's what in the cybersecurity or like in the security field, the weakest link in the chain is the, like if you say like, if you have like a user is started using 1 2 3 4 5 is the password. So obviously that's the weakest link. Even though if you have like millions of firewall, you have spent millions of dollars for the firewalls and reverse proxies or whatever, but still the weakest link we have to be targeting.
So those people with this, so we talked about how organization can, and we covered that piece, right? So now let's talk about application security is all about the front end, and again how the organization has the security program. It can be part of that, it can be different, because I think there's a shared responsibility model also, because if you go to the typical cyber security team, SOC and everything, that's the mindset people have, they are monitoring 24/7. But application security, in my opinion, is new because you need different skill sets. You mentioned just now OTP, MFA, and so we are talking about identity and access management is one of the skill set. So again, a SOC will monitor attacks are coming, but you need new people with the skill set who are specialized with that identity skills. Whereas you say, how do you use your service account password or not, or whether you use keys, right? So those are the different skill sets. So you want to talk about something on that specific?
The main reason is like application security. Why? How it's different is like, because it's not like like how we like as you said, like SOC or like maybe IAM, because those are kind of like specific areas where the experts can like talk about or like maybe try to mirror. But when it comes to application, it's kind of an integration of all. Like if you see, like you have to integrate with the front end, because the front end is keep on changing with the React or like Angular, or like they keep on like changing. Like earlier, like only like HTML, CSS, some JavaScripts were there, but now the things are keep on changing. If you see, like there are a lot of SaaS products are coming up, so you have to integrate, because if you are not integrating, third-party products are coming. You have to keep on integrating. If earlier days, like if you see, like in the front end, the home page will be like very minimal. But now, if you see in your home page, there will be like a bunch of JavaScript files keep on downloading, or like packages. And we have to integrate with these several, like if you see like Salesforce or like any another, like
pulling the data from many.
Many. So we need a skill set to understand this entire ecosystem. So who can understand like how these integrations are working, how different technologies are coming up, how people are started using it. Because as I mentioned, like one small weakest link in this entire chain is going to destroy the like maybe keep our application into the insecure way. So that's the main reason we need specific set of mindset where people start learning on the job itself. Because as I said, like because it's not like one set. Like we have to, like suppose some new technology nowadays, Gen AI is coming up. We want to start with the new chatbot, which we want to provide more capabilities to it, so to provide the customer questions to answers. Like suppose if you started integrating that by using the OpenAI or some other LLMs, whether it's a Llama or whatever. So when we are integrating, how exactly we are integrating? So are we doing it in a secure way or not? So such kind of mindset we need to have as a security engineer, and you have to be on job. You have to learn the things and you have to implement that. And how exactly we are integrating it.
So let me ask you a question then. It's a very different question, right? And we cannot cover everything, but let me throw a very open question. And for an application security engineer, I know the answer, but for the audience, and I want to understand from your side, do they really need to learn Nmap and Nessus kind of tool?
Nmap, Nessus Scan, if you see like in last like my 3-4 years, like I have used it, but in the last 3-4 years, or maybe if you see like a couple of years, I could have used like maybe 2-3 times, not much.
So for the concept is fine.
Just to know like how it will work. So that's important.
So let me put another question. So this is, I usually give advice to the people. If you want to do a cloud security and application security, I would say you go rather learn identity and access management instead of doing a CCNA. Do you agree or not? If not, and I need reasoning behind that.
Like let me repeat the question. So if someone wants to
have a career in cybersecurity, I would say no. You better focus on cloud security. This is where the new jobs are, Gen AI and everything. And when it comes to a skill set, there's what do they need to learn? Or somebody is an employer who wants to hire that. So do they really need to understand subnetting, network and all that? Or they can just learn identity and access management for this multiple cloud environment, learn the key management, secrets and all that stuff?
I got it. No need to know about the subnetting and all, because like obviously like it's good to have. No need to go and get the CCNA certifications and all, because I did like maybe
20 years.
15
years
back.
Mine was 20 years ago.
I did like 15 years. Hey, I forgot everything after 2. I forgot everything after 2 years because obviously that's a like very dry subject. So obviously like subnetting.
You're not practicing.
Obviously. I hardly remember like how the public IP looks like, how the private looks. That should be enough for like cloud security.
And some basic concept of
the basic concept. If you want to dig dive for any specific kind of scenario, you have like Google or like nowadays LLMs are coming up. You can ask the question, they will try to answer it. But you have to know like the identity access management, as you said. In cloud, it's kind of like KMS or like key management or like HashiCorp Vault. So that kind of concepts you have to know better instead of like digging dive into the CCNA.
And there are so many network engineers already. They've been building from 2000, Cisco's time. So this is what I always said, the new jobs. What are the new jobs around AI security, Gen AI? The concept is there. You need to have a, so in application security, do you need to have a developer kind of an experience or know-how?
It's always good to have the developer experience. Like it's not like because obviously because if you see in my career, I didn't get a chance to work as a hardcore developer, but
Okay.
always I felt like I could
But you
have
can
done
speak to
that.
developer. You know
Yeah.
how do they work.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
But-
kind of knowledge.
yeah, that, like if you can, but I can read the code, I can write
Yeah.
little bit of code, but I can read and understand like almost like Java, .NET, or
Right.
Python, whatever language. I can read and understand what exactly going. Even Android or like iOS
Okay.
applications also I do regularly. So I can read and understand the code.
Right.
But it's always good to have the development background. Or like, at least like maybe you can just spin up small application and try to understand like
Right.
how the data flows from the
Right.
front end to back end, middleware,
Exactly.
and database. That's good to know.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. So again, that's hopefully kind of answer to people who are watching. So in application security, was like first they have to understand the application architecture, front end skills, back end. We talk. So when you're talking about skill set, I also wanted to talk about we have every organization. Depend on the size of organization. Like your organization and my view, pretty much every kind of cloud we have. We have, you name it, we will have it. But for the startup, they will either go to Azure or AWS,
Azure, yeah,
depending, right?
Yeah, maybe DigitalOcean.
So I wanted to hear from your side of it. Then somebody start to learn their skill in AWS and they go to a new job, or
They may have
a
Azure.
company, or a company might want to decide. So can these skills be easily transferable? That's from the career perspective, and also for the company's perspective. Then they change the decision from either or to a different cloud environment.
Yeah, these like the basic concepts will be the same when it comes to the cloud or
Right.
like maybe, so it's easily transferable. Maybe the major difference is like maybe AWS will use all like typical naming nomenclature. That's
Right.
maybe slightly different. Azure may be using different, and even Google Cloud maybe. But
Right.
when it compares to all these three majors, the Azure and Google Cloud has good, like easily understandable nomenclature,
I
and AWS has like its own different
Oh.
nomenclature, like
I
how
know.
they keep words. But all these three, like
They're the same
it's the
concept.
same concept. Like maybe the naming will be different, the
Right.
way how they deploy, like they may call it as blobs.
Right.
But AWS
S3
call it S3
bucket,
buckets. But
right.
the concept is same.
Right.
Even the security controls will be the same. At least
Right.
you should have the same security mindset.
Right.
So which you can deploy, or like you can apply for the different
Right.
the cloud
Right.
vendor. So it's not like it's easy to switch your mind
Right.
if you get the basics right, and if you have the good understanding of the
Right.
cloud environment.
So yeah, we're pretty much top of the hour. So one